Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about a little bit about news. We're going to be talking about the charts. We're going to be talking about volume, and we are going to be talking about a few other things, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, Uphold Inc., which we know Zebec is working with, they said we're different. We want to be known for championing projects that solve real problems. That's why we're proud to partner with Zebec. Now, here is the deal, people, right? In one aspect, they could be different, but the other day when the exchanges were, when all the price went down, a lot of the exchanges, including Uphold Inc., did not allow you to buy the dips. So, look, people are asking questions, and this is a fair thing to point out, right? You know me, I try not to be biased on this channel. When I believe something is going to be going down, I say it's going to be going down. If there's negative news, I cover it. That's just how we operate here. And look, at the end of the day, this doesn't really have too much to with Zbec, but it's still worth covering, right? It's still worth covering that, a lot of people are upset, right? You're no different. You stopped us from, transacting and making money for our families. Extremely disappointed, Uphold. I once believed you were different, but your actions spoke louder than your words. Exactly. Exactly. I don't care about people's words. All that matters in life are actions at the end of the day. Okay. So look, man, they can say what they want. At the end of the day, obviously, it is still beneficial for us to be working with them. We're partnered with them, and we are going to be, and we're not are going to be, we are at stadiums with them. So at the end of the day, they do bring some chunk of value to Zbec. So their exchange not or being down or whatever, not allowing us to buy the dips. Yes, that's a negative, but they still have a bigger net positive for Zbec than they do a net negative. Anyways, look, Toshi, right? Toshi 3 weeks ago pumped 100% and it had almost 800 million in volume. Now, when I was recording this, this was already a little bit after the pump. Okay, so I didn't catch all the volume. I didn't catch all the volume, but look, 571 million. And it actually spiked up to 800 million. So if I'm actually going to go in like this so you guys can see. So 571, and it actually spiked up to 800 million volume. Now you might be wondering, well, why am I showing you this? Well, ladies and gentlemen, because overall, when we take the average of Zbec, right, Zbec's volume, now it's a little bit higher because the markets have been more volatile and etc. But usually it's been around, 15 to 25 million. I mean, you can see 15 million, 17, 22, 23, 24, 25, sometimes in the 30s. But in general, it's been the mid teens to the mid 20s for a large majority of the time. Like, look, we can see we're still like mid teens on average. Now, when we go higher, it's like the low 30s. Yeah, volume right now is probably going to be just a little bit better because the markets are a little bit more volatile. And we did get another exchange listing. So we can see we're in the mid 20s, just kind of casually right now, in the 30s, mid 30s. We're entering the 40s. But we've seen on Zbec before that we've had hit, pretty nice volume, right? We've hit pretty nice volume. But here's the deal, people. We've never hit volume like this, 800 million. And the thing is, we will. We will, because we're going to have way more adoption, way more, way bigger spotlight, much more support than Toshi and meme coins ever will. We're literally backed by banks. You have to remember this. We're backed by banks already. And this is just the start. What's going to happen when we get more institutions behind us? What's going to happen when the whole Swift thing plays out? The IBO or IBS, or I forgot what it's called. But there's so many things still in quarter 4 that we are looking to see if they get finalized. What's going to happen in 2026 when if things continue? Like we're already at stadiums. We're at hockey games. We're at basketball games, right? And this is just the start. So what's going to happen when we start going worldwide truly? When we have way more banks, or what happens when like half the banks start using us? What happens when we get that XRP partnership? You don't think we're going to surpass 800 million volume in a single day? If a coin like Toshi can do it, and I mean this in the most respectful way to Toshi, right? But at the end of the day, it is just a meme coin. That's all it is. Then think about the volume we're going to be having consistently and the rise in price consistently when the time will come. Now, listen, this might contradict me a little bit because as we saw yesterday, or not yesterday, a couple of days ago by now, we can see, ladies and gentlemen, when we had that minus 40% drop, we actually only had 30%, 30%, not 30%, 30 million in volume. So we can see, ladies and gentlemen, right? This should be overall a wake up call for you that the market makers will control and manipulate things the way they're supposed to be played out at the end of the day. Okay. 30 million volume for a 40% dump, that makes 0 cents. Zero, absolutely 0 cents. Okay. Overall, with the whole dump that happened the other day, it's not Trump. Okay. It's not the tariffs. Okay. We've had tariffs before. We've had worse tariffs. We had multiple tariffs happening at the same time. Okay. Markets don't dump, for most coins, 80 to 85% within a couple of minutes, 30 minutes. Because of some tariff news. No, guys, this was a calculated attack to wipe out all the investors that had longs, right? To kind of shake people out. And this is going to be most likely the start of our run. We can see, ladies and gentlemen, we are recovered very, very well. Bitcoin's already slowly going up. So you see there's decent green for altcoins too. But not only that, ladies and gentlemen, Zebec practically, in a way, barely flinched, right? It barely flinched. And it's remarkable. It truly, truly is. We can see with the way everything is going to go, we most likely are, this sounds so crazy. We most likely are going to print a higher low than the lows back in mid-September, which is crazy because at one point, like I said, we were up here in the start of the week and we went all the way down. So we pretty much lost half our value at one point during this week, right? Which is absolutely crazy. But we can see in terms of candle closes, it really doesn't look that bad for us. And look, right? We finally got our manipulation sweep. That's what I've been talking about for literal weeks now, was this manipulation point. I expected it to get swept. Now, did I expect it to get swept in the manner it did? No, not really. I obviously didn't expect Zebec to get nuked 40% in just a couple of hours, right? In this 1 hour, this thing got nuked. Let's see the price. Boom. Yeah, in 1 hour, got nuked 42%. And in fact, when you go to the details, it's more like 15 minutes. So no, did I expect it to get nuked 40% in 15 minutes? No. Did I expect the sweep to happen? And did I have some orders triggered at like 0.0032 or whatever it was? Yes, I did. So I'm happy that we have this out the way, because now, ladies and gentlemen, we can actually be building on top of this resistance here, right? This line that was a resistance, it is still valid, right? It just, everything got swept more. And as long as we're going to be closing above this line over here, let's just say above 0.0036, things are going to be looking good. So I'm looking for us to be holding. I'm looking for reversal signs, right? And, we should really start heading to upside now. There could be, if there is any sell-off manipulation, it's going to be very, very, very short term. Very, very short term. Just to enter one of these like order blocks on the 5 minute or the 3 minute or whatever. But in general, it should be very, very bullish, because usually, when we see these types of huge manipulation sweeps right after, and I think I covered this a little bit in the last video, but it's kind of the black swan event. Right after we had the big dip, boom, Bitcoin was recovering for weeks and it started to pump, 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 and so did all the altcoins, right? And that was kind of our trigger. Even Bitcoin itself, the weekly candle is actually fairly good considering all things. It would have been really bad actually if we closed about like below 110K. Now, of course, there's still a couple of hours left in this day, but it would be really, really bad if we would actually close below like 112K, in fact. So we're 2K away, which is still decent. Like I said, we are technically still printing higher and higher and higher lows for Bitcoin, despite us coming back down here. So yeah, look, max manipulation, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to crypto, welcome to the markets. We're going to be seeing how Bitcoin recovers over the next couple of days. We're going to be seeing how Zebec also does recover and how everything plays out. In the end, right now, from this price, us dropping from like here to here, it's 17%. That's not even that big for Zebec. We've seen these types of drops before. I mean, like, this is like the same type of thing practically, right? You take it from like the top of here, you come back down to here. We've seen similar moves. In the end, it's like nothing really happened other than the massive manipulation and the green flag and the green signs for altcoin season to start happening sooner than later. So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I'm super, super optimistic, right? Very, very optimistic. There's still a lot of adoption to be had for something like Zebec. I'm very, very excited to see how the news is going to play out over the next couple of weeks until, even up until, let's just say 2026, the start of 2026. There's still, like I said, 3 months practically left, a little bit less. We know quarter four is actually going to be very, very important. We have the CBOS, I think it's the ICO, some stuff regarding Swift, some stuff regarding Uphold Inc. I mean, quarter four should just be a banger. Quarter four should just be an absolute banger for us. But yeah, that is ultimately it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy. Hopefully, you bought a little bit of some of the dips, or even now it's still a good price in my personal opinion. Right, Zbec is 370 million volume. Right, we are ranked 132, ladies and gentlemen. I do believe we are going to be entering the top 100 by the time quarter four finishes. Now, I know that might seem kind of crazy, but we've seen how well we were holding, right? Like we went up in ranking just because we recovered better and we didn't dump as much, and everything is just looking fantastic for this crypto. To be honest, I'm super, super excited to be covering the future of Zbec. Let's see what we're at, ladies and gentlemen. We're almost at 86,000 holders. Like, not many people got shaken out. I don't think actually anyone got shaken out. They didn't even allow us to buy and sell for most exchanges. So if you did sell during the dips, I am sorry for you. I understand, emotions could be running high. You see minus whatever percent on your screen, especially when you look at certain other coins, they're like at minus 85%. You're like, I'm out, right? I'm out. I understand, right? Especially there's a lot of new people. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're almost at 86,000 holders. We should hit it by Monday. Everything should be looking fantastic for Zbec. Have a great, great weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, you guys are, blessed. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.